Well, gracious greetings, saints, even family, and guests. Welcome to another edition of Living Water for Thirsty Thursday. We've been talking about the struggles that come in our life, and we've been saying not just what the struggles are, but we've been walking through trying to give advice to someone that may be struggling with these top 5 that we've had. And today we want to move into the struggle that a lot of people have, and that is the struggle with money, with finances. And so if someone was to approach you or you know of someone and they're struggling with money, what would you say to them? Well, there's a couple passages that I want to hit. I know you already know Timothy when he talks about this in 1 Timothy. When he speaks of it, he says, "For the love of money is the root of all evil," right? So all of us know that. We know I can't fall in love with money, because if I fall in love with money, that becomes the root of all evil. The root of all evil means that becomes the catalyst for evil. That's the foundation of evil, which means I am rooted, grounded in evil, where I will continually produce evil because I have been rooted in it. And what rooted me in it is that love of money. So obviously that's not what we want to do, but it's amazing as many of us know that passage, but still money still creeps into our lives and starts to really dictate our lives. You guys have all heard the saying, it's all right to have money, but it's not all right to allow money to what? Have you. And that's kind of what it's speaking about with that root of all evil. So yeah, we quickly share that with people. Man, the love of money is the root of all evil. You gotta slow your roll. And that's good counsel. And of course we want to use that. We want to build upon that here in Hebrews 13:5. This verse isn't, I think, as prominent. It's not one that really stands out on this subject. But if you kind of look and see what's in here, it speaks to it. It says, Hebrews 13:5, "Let your conversation be without covetousness," right? Which is wanting what we shouldn't want, or wanting what somebody else has, or wanting them to not have what they have. All those things is coveting. "And be content," is the word. Be content with such things as you have. "For he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee." Two major things being said there. Number one, it's speaking about us having contentment. But then it's also saying, here's why you should have contentment. Because of he, which is God himself, who put the stars where they are, the moon where it is, has all of our eyes rising and falling and blinking, and is keeping our hearts beating, keeping the sun where it is, the moon where it is, everything. God, the capacity of God, that same God, it says he will never leave you nor forsake you. So be content. And what I would venture to say is, when we're trying to help somebody with that money issue, it is contentment. You know what money does? Why money is such a subtle, insidious type of issue? It's because money, when you start to have it, if you're not careful, it can rob contentment. Yeah, contentment is when you can actually be really good and cool with where things are. But as soon as you have something to compare, to compete, or to contrast, or whatever the case may be, now what you have doesn't look quite the same. So what does money really do? I hope you hear what I'm saying. It starts to breed and to give forth or bring forth options. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't have options in life. I'm just saying that what the text is trying to get us to see is to be content with such things that we have, and to stay there even if I have more money, right? It's a mindset. It's a perception. So money, it's not about whether I have money or I don't have money. It's not about whether I'm a saver of money or whether I'm a spender of money. It's not about whether I'm an investor of money or if I'm a banker that just holds on to money. It's none of those things. It is literally the perception of this money and how I leverage this money or allow money to leverage my life. Let me read one more verse. I know this is more verses than we normally work through. But this is another one that doesn't specifically like just speak about money, and that's why we're selecting these verses, is because here in Matthew 6:19, 20, 21, it says, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal what your money has tried to acquire." He says, "But lay up for yourselves treasures, values in heaven, where neither moth nor rust does corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal." Now, again, this text isn't trying to get us all fixated on, whatever we have to pick it up and take it off into heaven. And since it's sitting up there in heaven, no one can go up there and steal it. No, these treasures that he's speaking of is our works that we do, our actions and things that we do here on earth that we're doing for the right motives. And God can look and he can see our value system and he can say, yes, the right motive is there. And when it lands on God's heart, it lands in a pure and pristine way, right? And he says that is high value. But then this last verse here, 21, is the one that just kicks it. So that's already a big deal, that God is saying, man, don't be so much into how much money you make and how much money you have in the bank and how much you have invested, how much you can pass on, how much you do. It's great. It's not saying that you can't do that. And when he says, can a rich man get into heaven? Yes, a rich man can get into heaven. He just talks about it's more difficult because this rich person is going to have issues with these things we're discussing, right? The contentment. And so here, verse 21 talks about what we're going back to. It's my perspective. It says, verse 21, "For where your treasure is," let me say it again, "for where your treasure is, where your value is, there will your heart be also." So what I really value is where my heart is. And if what I really value is an opportunity to change my contentment, meaning money helps me to change my situation, and that's really what I want to do, rather than I want to do something that may help someone else to be rich. Let's say it this way. Is it more important to you? Is it more important to me? Is it more valuable to you? Is it more valuable to me to be the king, to be the queen, or to be the king maker or the queen maker? Yeah, and then our heart also, right, has to be in the right place. And so now it's not so much about the money, because here's the thing, right? Because I hope you're hearing what's being said. Whether I am a king or a queen, and whether I am a king maker or a queen maker, I can benefit. I can benefit monetarily, right? I can benefit in prestige. I can benefit with power. I can benefit a whole lot of ways, right? Those things can happen. But the text here is saying, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be. Where your value system is. And so if I get more value in my heart from seeing people become kings and queens that I help influence potentially, than for me actually being the king or queen, then God says those are treasures that get stored up there. And by the way, you making them king or queen will probably make you even more money than you trying to be the king or the queen. I'm not trying to talk manipulation here. And you say, well, okay, well, let me go make everyone else a king or a queen. And then that will by default make me have what I have. Well, then we go back to the passage that we're talking about in 13:5. Let your conversation in Hebrews be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have already. And what do you have? He says, more than making billions and millions. What you have is that God himself will never leave thee nor forsake thee. So this is what you share with someone that's struggling with having and making that money and that almighty dollar. You just give a different perspective, right? So next week, we're going to try to put a bow on this. We have one more. I actually said what the word is, if you heard it somewhere in here, but we'll wrap up with that one next week. Prayerfully, this has served you well. Continue to make God proud in all you say, think, and do.